coaches, Thomas here from MyCoach Ai, and today in this video I want to talk about keeping tabs on your clients' progress, and specifically how to do so in a scalable way, right? So essentially the methods I'll be showing today are going to be applicable if you have 2 or 3 clients that you manage, but also when you have 200 clients to manage, even if you have 2,000 clients to manage. And essentially some ways that are built and baked into the MyCoach Ai system that are going to help us keep tabs of what clients are completing or what they are missing, their progress, and these type of things. And perhaps one of the most important tools that we have for this in the MyCoach Ai system, we find right here on this page that we're already looking at, which is the dashboard. Because on our dashboard, we have something called the recent client notifications. And there's a lot of different things that we can directly get from here to see if there's certain things that require action, require our attention, or even reaching out to the client in certain moments where needed, or if seeing if things are just going the right way. Because what we find here under the recent client notifications are client notifications about missed workouts and completed workouts, check-ins that were or were not completed, people that finish onboarding, people that have come to the end of their program, and pretty much everything else that you can think of that you would require to know as a coach to keep tab of how people are doing. Now, currently, I don't have it sorted. So we see an assortment of different notifications about people missing meal plans or people completing workouts, watching videos, not watching videos, completed check-ins, all of these different things. And if you keep a close watch on this once a day, maybe even multiple times a day, it's a really good thing to kind of bake into your routine of first thing when you come online in the morning is you check your recent client notifications. Last thing before you go offline for the day, check your recent client notifications. If you build this into your habits of coaching, it's really going to help you keep tabs of everything going on in your system, even if you work with higher volume of clients. But yes, again, also super applicable if you just work with a couple clients as of now. Now, really importantly, you can also sort this notification center by different types of notifications. So this is a handy overview if you're just doing your daily or twice a day check, but you can also do them by certain notifications. Let me give you a couple examples. If we go here to this tab on the right, we can select these notifications by things like, for example, missed check-ins. We find at the top here. Super useful. So that if you need to go and look into who still, has to do their check-in and didn't complete it on time, so you can reach out to them, check in with them, see what happened. This is a great tab to check in on that specifically. And also things like missed workouts, right? Maybe something that you want to know about. Maybe check in with them as well. See why they missed their workout. Is there a good reason for it? Did you already know they were not going to be completing it? Are they going to be moving it to a different day instead if you allow them to do that? All of these types of things. But also on completion, right? Keep in mind that all of these notifications can also show things that were indeed completed. So if you're like, hey, I need to go check out, who completed my onboarding from all those challenge participants that I invited yesterday, great. Go to completed form, and you'll see everyone who has completed recently a form in the correct order, right? Now, like I said, there's a lot of different ways that we can filter this. As you can see, missed meal plan, missed videos, missed files, all of these things completed, all of those same ones as well. Very importantly too, canceled subscriptions, right? So if you want to see who recently canceled any of their subscriptions, so you can reach out to them, maybe try to get them on, maybe do whatever you need to do in your systems to handle canceled customers, this is a tab for you to look into that. And another really handy one that we have implemented is end programs. And this is really, really useful too, because you have certain programs assigned, but if you're managing a lot of clients at the same time, you may not always know when their program is ending. Of course, you can see this on their schedules and individually, but it is just really handy to check maybe daily or so for people's programs ending, so you can make sure they still have content scheduled for the next things, right? Or do whatever you need to do from that moment when they finish their program. So all of these notifications are going to be incredibly helpful if you want to kind of just check in where people are at, how they are doing, what they are completing or are not completing. And we really, once again, highly recommend you leverage this on like a daily basis. Just make it a set part of your workflow, and it will make you a lot more diligent and efficient in checking in on clients' progress. There's a couple other tools. This is probably one of the main ones that you will use, but we were here, for example, talking about missed check-ins and completed check-ins. Now, there's another tool for these check-ins, especially if you're managing a lot of clients and you're doing check-ins with them on a weekly basis. that is just going to help you out a lot. And we find it here under the active client section. And this is where I need to point out a couple different filters. Some coaches don't even know about this, but when you click on here, you can sort your active client list, however many people are in there, for example, by messages, which is what we currently have it on, where it's going to show you the most recent messages that were sent or received at the very top, and then go down the list. It will even show you a little blue bubble if there is a missed message, if you're on this overview. So super useful if you're just managing messages in that moment in volume. But there's also a filter for check-ins, nearest to furthest. And we'll see here when we click on this that it's going to give us some information. The ones at the top here, their check-in is scheduled, but we have a couple red ones right here that say that a check-in was not complete. So we filter the list directly in this way and immediately see who completed their check-in, did not complete their check-in. And so if you need to do some follow-ups, go send out some messages about these check-ins, you can easily do so right here. Nice bright red, so we know absolutely certain who has yet to complete their check-in, and we can follow up with them, right? So great overview for check-ins if you're managing those. And then even last scheduled day. Okay, so we'll show you nearest to furthest, the schedules of the client and who has the last day scheduled. So those are some really, really useful features and filters as we're looking at our active client list. So use this throughout your day. Don't always be on the messages tab, but if you are, in the part of your day where you are answering messages, you're getting back to people, great. Filter by messages. If you are in your check-in phase of the day or the week, so to speak, and you need to check in on who to follow up with and who's completed their check-ins, great. Go ahead and select based on the check-in overview right here, right? Now, all of that stuff is to kind of manage clients in bulk. And of course, keep in mind as well, right? When we talk about progress and need to check in on clients, it's very powerful to use their metrics section, because this is where their actual data is stored for individual exercises and weight metrics, whatever it may be, progress pictures. You can see all of that here. But this is really to check in on individual clients. So super, super useful as well. But of course, some of the things we just talked about were more so doing things in bulk for a big group of clients, managing more volume. But it's really valuable to go through some client profiles, check their metrics, check their progress in it, and also keep in mind that when we look at the schedule, that we have a very handy feature on the schedule right here when we go to past day. Bit of a test account, so we have some things that are not on here. What you will see is these check marks and these X's on items, whether they were completed or were not completed. And it's going to show on all of the past days on past items. If I even go to the month view, I'll definitely have a really good overview of things that were completed or were not completed by looking at these X's and those check marks. This particular client, the test client, didn't do a great job, but it's a great way to just not always look into all the individual pieces, individual workouts, whatever it may be, but just go to their schedule, select month view or whatever you'd like, press load last week, and kind of look into their past items and see if you see a bunch of check marks or a bunch of X's. That will tell you whether this client requires some attention and maybe checking in with, right? So those are some really great tools. Probably, again, the most important one, use that recent client notification center on your dashboard, and definitely use those filters as well. This is massively going to help you keep tabs of what is and what isn't going on and which clients require your attention. And it's really, if you, again, bake it into your workflow, it's really going to speed things up for you and just give you a much better overview day to day of what is going on. So those are some tips that we can leverage to keep tabs on client process, see who is doing well, who requires our attention, and it's stuff that works with 2 clients, 3 clients, 200, 300 clients, and everything in between and above. Hope that helped. If you want to know more about MyCoach Ai and how we help clients, reach their goals, how it will help you within your business, support your business and your clients' goals, please go and watch that video that we have on our website. There's a link for it in the description. And right now we're even running a complete free trial. So you can check all of this stuff out for yourself, completely free for 14 days. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.